Words that blame and accuse, it causes a man to become defensive. Words that overflow or saturate have a tendency to overwhelm a man, meaning too many words.
Yeah.
Too much detail.
Sometimes, too, I have to set Christian up with the purpose of the conversation, because if I just start talking and using and oversaturating all my words, he'll kind of stop and be like, okay, what do I need to be in this conversation? Welcome to the Danielle Hage Podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Hage. Danielle is my mother-in-law and Nini to my 3 girls. She is pastor, speaker, and founder of Dynamic Traits. She has over 40 years experience in family and marriage relationships. She's been married for 43 years to Steve Hage, who travels the world preaching the gospel, and together they pastor a church in Laguna Niguel, California. So welcome back, Danielle.
Thank you.
Today we're going to talk about the best way to push your man away. So,
yes,
buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, so these words that I'm going to tell you, there's certain words that women are known to use that will actually cause a man to disconnect. He'll disconnect emotionally. It shuts him down emotionally and physically. Yeah. Okay, so you just want to be aware of these words because it's something that kind of comes out of women kind of naturally. Mm-hmm. So the first group of words are words that blame and accuse. It causes a man to become defensive. I mean, though blaming and accusing words is going to cause anybody to be defensive, but especially, a lot of times women, because we can get critical, we can get naggy, right? And, these are really words like victim words. You always, you never. And women will use those words to exaggerate their point, but men are really literal. So when you say, well, you never take me out on a romantic date, he'll be like, well, we went out 3 months ago.
Yeah.
We went out last year.
Yeah.
For a woman, that
Bringing
is not
up
enough.
All the accounts.
Right? But, they're just literal. It's like, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
We went out the other day for coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, but I didn't feel like that was romantic enough. Right?
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful about those kinds of words. It's going to turn him off. It's not going to draw him into a good connection with you.
Yeah.
Words that overflow or saturate have a tendency to overwhelm a man, meaning too many words.
Yeah.
Too much detail. And I know you might say, well, I'm not the detailed one. My husband is. I get it. My husband is very detailed too. But so whichever way it works. But just, we have to remember, ladies, that most men just want you to get to the point.
Yeah.
Okay? They'll listen longer if you get to the point, you talk in bullet points, and, here's 1, 2, and 3. About what you want to say or what you need, and save the details for your girlfriends. Okay, women love details.
Yeah.
Women connect verbally; they connect with details. But men, they just don't need all that. If you just get to the point, and he wants more detail, let him ask.
Yeah.
A while back, I always use this example. I got in a car accident. It wasn't bad, but my husband, he has a car fetish. He loves his cars, and he takes really, really good care of his cars. So I thought, okay, I need to call him, and I need to get right to the point.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to explain how it happened, and it wasn't really my fault, right? And so I call him up. I go, hey, Steve, I just want you to know I got in a little accident. I'm okay. The car has a little bit of a dent. And I just shut up.
Yeah.
And he goes, wait.
Because that's the first question he's going to ask.
What happened to the car?
Questions. Yeah.
What happened to the car?
Yeah.
Not, wait, are you sure you're okay? No, he went straight to what happened to the car. And I just said, I opened my door. Another car was coming in the parking lot. And the door hit the other car. Again, not a big deal. I could drive it home. But I just wanted him to be aware before I got home, before he saw the damage.
Yeah.
Okay? So again, if they want more detail, fill them in. You fill in the blanks only if they ask for them.
Yeah. Sometimes, too, I have to set Christian up with the purpose of the conversation, because if I just start talking and using and oversaturating all my words, he'll kind of stop and be like, okay, what do I need to be in this conversation? Like, do you need me to problem solve this? Because I can jump in and start problem solving. Or, do you need a solution? Whatever it is, or do you just need an ear? Do you need some perspective?
It's a great question from a man.
And I've learned even better to start with the point, and then he'll ask for details. And usually if I set him up too, like, hey, I just need to process this and I need a different perspective. I need to know from you how to think about this. Then he'll want to ask a lot of questions and he'll want to go deeper.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to get all those words out. But if I start with all the words, he's lost. He's like, I don't know which way I'm swimming. Like, am I going upstream or downstream? Like, where do you want me in this conversation?
That's great. That is great.
So even just setting him up for the purpose of, and this is what I need you. And sometimes I just need to get this out because it's like festering in me. Yeah. And I just need to, I know it's, gossipy or whatever, or, just yucky, but I just need to get it out and just don't say anything. And like, let's just be done with it. And he'll, okay, all right. And usually he'll be on his phone.
I think that is great communication. I know sometimes my husband and I will start talking about a certain situation or maybe people in the situation, and I'll say, now I know I'm going to sound really judgy right now. Yeah. Let me just say it, and then I don't have to talk about it anymore. Yeah. I'll ask for forgiveness later. And we'll catch each other, or he'll say something that sounds judgy, and we will hold each other accountable and say, are you standing in judgment? And we're like, yeah, I am. But we can both agree that we both are. And it's like, okay, we're not going to be judgy of that person. I just had to spill it for a second.
It's a safe space to do that.
It with a safe, trusted person, right?
And setting them up. Like, I don't need you to join in on me. I don't need to, we don't need to like go guns a-blazing. I just, I need to get this out. But letting them know, like, hey, this is where I need you in this conversation. Another thing that I've learned, because Christian and I have worked together for a long time. Mm-hmm. We worked together before we even started dating and got married. Yeah. So, and I've carried this over into our married life, is really letting him determine the conversation and where he's at. Because there are some things, like he'll walk in the door. I know we've done a podcast on transition time. And because of where he's at in his life and an entrepreneur, sometimes he's still working when he walks in the door or working late into the night, even if he's at home in my proximity. So I have to be cognizant too of conversation of, is he still in work mode and he's not ready for the fluff of the day and this girlfriend more conversation, or all about the girls' dance schedule and all of that kind of stuff. I let him kind of determine, okay, now I'm ready to hone in. What's going on? What's up with the girls' schedule? Tell me about your day. Because if I jump in when he's still in work mode, then that conversation's not going to go anywhere either. And it's just going to feel like an oversaturation of like, oh my God. And
you're going to be frustrated.
I can't, Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere.
That is so good. That's a good thing to remind people too about that transition time when men first get home. And yes, women will say too, well, what about me? And I know you need your time too. But remember, men take longer to transition than women. It's the way our brain's set up. And if you need to know more about that, go back to our podcast on transition time. All right. Another set of words that continually overanalyze or over-explain force a man to become like you're counseling client. And we have to remember, ladies, we are not his counselor. You're not his teacher. You're not his coach. You're his friend. You're his partner. Yeah. Okay. And you have to couch things when you talk to your man. Again, not like you just said it, not analyzing so deep when maybe he's not in the position for that. He's not in the mind frame for that. So again, just be careful that you're not being his mother. You don't want to be his mother. Remember, no man wants to sleep with his mother. So that's something. And because we are mothers and we are nurturers, and most women, that are moms, have of course, they have children. Sometimes we put our husbands right in that same category with our children, and they are not your child. Yeah. All right?
Okay, but how do we have those conversations? Because there are some times where we need to have, babe, every light bulb in this house is out. I'm not trying to be your mother right now, but I need you to see this and I need you to take care of it. Or like when you hung that up on the wall, thank you so much for hanging that corkboard up. But now when I ride the bike and I look at it, it's crooked and it's driving me nuts. Yeah. So without like I need, I don't know. I know there's deeper things that people are going through more of like things that need to change in relationship. And those are probably kind of light. But when we do need to have it like, okay.
Yeah. And I think again, it has everything to do with tone of voice. Yeah. And just, you like with the light bulbs, honey, I need your help. Can you help us? The lights aren't turning on because the bulbs are blacked out. Is that something that you can handle? Do you want me to get a handyman to handle it? What do you want to do with this?
Yeah.
They get to solve the problem.
Yeah.
They get to problem solve. Mm-hmm. Rather than you going, okay, I need you to do this at this time, this way, get that stool. You don't have to do all that. Yeah. Let him figure it out. He's a grown man. He can figure it out. Okay, words that did I already say this? No. Oh, words that over-spiritualize every situation, okay? That projects an attitude of superiority or condemnation or that holier-than-thou attitude. And, and a lot of times in relationships, not in every relationship, but sometimes the woman may be more spiritual than the man.
Yeah.
And she wants to teach him something, wants him to learn something. So I actually dealt with a couple where the man actually came to me and said, oh my gosh, she leaves scriptures everywhere. Or the Bible
for
open
him?
with highlighted.
Not for herself.
No,
for him.
For him, on his mirror. On the toilet seat, the back of the toilet seat, like
while you're sitting there
in
so
his
long.
car, yeah, and it drove him crazy. He was like, "Oh my gosh!" And what she's doing is she's leaving hints, leaving clues. Men don't usually pick up on hints and clues, or it irritates them. Nowadays, it might not be the Bible. Maybe you're throwing a self-help book his way, leaving that on the bedstand.
Some Instagram,
read this, all highlighted, or
some of your Instagram reels.
Sending him a podcast. And we just had a conversation with your husband. How did
I do this. Yeah. So I love podcasts. I consume podcasts. So does my husband. We don't necessarily listen to the same ones, but when we do, I love the conversation that comes out of it, right? Yeah. It just gives us something else to talk about besides work and the kids. Yeah. And I love hearing his perspective. And I just think it gives us something great to look forward to at the end of the day if we both listen to it separately and analyze it. Well, I have sometimes sent him podcasts and without any explanation. So a lot of times I'll send him and be like, hey, really listen in at like minute 25. This is so interesting. This is new brain research or new hormonal information or whatever. And I sent him one, and just the title of it alone, I mean, it had to do with sex and it had to do with like not enough sex in the title just to like capture you in. And I just sent it to him because I was on the go or whatever. And he was like, immediately called me. He's like, uh-oh, why am I listening to this? And I was like, oh, this is this doctor. And I think I should go see this doctor because I'm in this hormonal situation and, perimenopause. And I'm just learning so much. And I think you could get on board with, I think he's really has a perspective. He's like, but the title, am I in trouble? Like, am I not doing something that you're expecting? Like, do you need me to listen to this because you need me to change? I'm like, oh, no, that's just clickbait. Like, I just want you to listen because I think it's great information that we've been talking about anyway. But his immediate reaction was, oh, crud. I'm in trouble. I need to change. And this is her way because she's not getting her. I'm not hearing her. Yeah.
And that leads me to, I had posted a reel, a week or I don't know when it was, but I talked about, how to come to a man and talk to a man and about when you say I need time to talk, always tell him also that he's not in trouble or that everything's okay. And I got a couple comments, people saying, well, that's demeaning. That's condescending. That's treating him like a child. That puts you in the mother role. Let me tell you why I said that. And every man I talk to agrees with this. They say when a woman says to them, we need to talk, they automatically get defensive. They think they have done something wrong or said something wrong and that they're in trouble. When a woman says, we need to talk, that's why I say I'm not trying to be condescending. And again, your tone is everything. Yeah. But, I just want you to know everything's okay. And you're not in trouble. I'm not mad, not upset. Just need some time to talk. If you just preface it with that, then they won't come to the conversation defensive. But like your husband, you sent him the podcast and he immediately got defensive, thought, there's something I need to change. She's mad at me. I'm in trouble. And she wants me to learn this from this podcast. So you just have to set the conversation up to keep him open. So he's not defensive. If he's defensive, it's because he feels like you're going to attack him.
Well, and every man has a warrior in them. So we want to be able to pull out to support the warrior and applaud the warrior, but we don't want the warrior to fight us.
Right.
And when we're in that conversation, if we've already given them permission or set them up to armor up and to be ready for battle, we're not on the same team. And when we go into these critical conversations, we have to remember we're on the same team. We want the same thing at the end of the day. If you're in a healthy relationship with pretty healthy people who are navigating life along the way. But if you set them up with like, thinking they're in trouble. They're going to armor up. They're going to come with all their defenses, guns a-blazing. And then you are fighting each other like you're on opposite sides of the field and not on the same team.
Exactly. And I just want to reiterate this also. And you may have heard me say this before, but women, choose your words carefully. If he is not doing anything that is illegal, immoral, or unethical, maybe you just drop it. Yeah. Just drop it. If you don't have to call a lawyer, a doctor, or a policeman, or a pastor, maybe you just let it go. Leave it alone. I mean, you can find other things to talk about. You got to choose your battles. Yeah. Do you want to die on that hill? Like, is it that important? Okay. Again, if it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, maybe you just let it go.
And sometimes as a wife, I mean, there's things in a man's life that only another man can call out, or only another man can iron sharpens iron. And I think as women, we need to be reminded too, to support those strong and healthy relationships in a man's life. Like Christian talks to his dad every single day, and that is a safe person. That is his pastor. That is his father. They are iron sharpens iron. And I am so thankful for that relationship because my father-in-law even puts perspective to Christian that helps him come home to be a better husband, a better man, a better provider, because it's just that different perspective. Or there's a couple other men or a few other men that are close to Christian and us in our lives, but they're able to talk man to man differently than we as women even want to have to talk to our men and want to have to get across. So allowing your husband the space to have those healthy, strong, masculine conversations and friendships and mentors is necessary. So vital.
It's absolutely essential.
The older we get, hands down, if I can say probably one of the top things that have helped our relationship be healthy is that. And supporting that and being okay with that.
And I think I don't know that you ever get too old to have a mentor or a coach, someone that you trust, that you look up to, that is where you're going. Mentors are meant to be you want someone to mentor you that is already at the place, already done what you want to do or where you want to be. Okay. So you don't let just anybody speak into your life, but you let people speak into your life that you look up to and that you trust. Okay. So I just want to give you a step-by-step approach of communicating with man, especially when you have a need involved. Like even you just said about changing the light bulbs. How do you say it without sounding like you're
so critical?
You're being critical of him. Okay, so let me just give you the steps. So step one, and we talked about this a minute ago, but I'll just reiterate it. When you need a time to talk, you ask for a time to talk, you let him know that you're not upset, you're not mad, you just need a time to talk. He's not in trouble. Everything's okay. All right? So number two, when that talk time comes, because he might say, now's a good time, or, I'll give me an hour, whatever it is. When the talk time comes, always begin with expressed appreciation. Like you just said, thank you so much for hanging the cork board, but now I'm noticing it's not quite even. I don't know, it bugs me. Do you want me to fix it, or can you fix it? Like, can you solve the problem, basically? Remember, men are natural problem solvers. Let him solve the problem. So you start with expressed appreciation for what he's doing and what it's providing for you, all the good stuff. Because remember, appreciation fuels a man. Number three, then you say there's something I need, or something, whatever it is you need, that I don't think you know about. Number four, state what you need simply. Be as specific as possible. When, where, how long, how much. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just tell him, literally write out what it is you need. And I hear men saying this all the time. If they just tell us what they want, we can do that. But again, women, talk riddles, send clues, figure it out what you need, and then tell him what you need. Number five, tell him what it would be providing for you if he gave you this. And use the word gave, because gave is like he's gifting you, okay? Use it as not like if you do this, if you did that, but when you give me this is what it's going to provide for me. And let him know, what does it provide? When you plan a romantic date, it just fills my heart. I just love that. It makes me feel like you've been thinking about me. I feel feminine. The fact that you took charge and control and you planned that and
feel secure in us.
It just figure out, what does it provide? And sometimes you have to really think about it. When he does that, when he gives me that, what will it provide for me? And this will create great conversation. Number 6, ask, is there anything that you need in order to give me what I'm asking for? Like, what do you need from me so that you can give me what I need from you? Okay, ask that question. And then listen to what he says. Number 7, when he provides what you need, express appreciation for all his effort, the results, and the difference that it makes in your life, even if he doesn't do it exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, just his intention, his willingness. Yeah. You let him know what that does for you. He may not do everything right, and that's okay. But just the fact that he was willing to do it is huge. He's trying to please you. He wants to meet your need.
Yeah.
Now, if you do this, use all the steps, and he doesn't give you what you need, okay? This doesn't mean give up, okay? Try again. Yeah. Try again later. Don't give up. And if he doesn't do it just right, try again at another time. And I always like to tell women this. If you wrote those 7 steps down, which I encourage you to do, there's no shame in bringing your notes and using your notes when you talk to him.
That.
You have?
When I first learned this from you, absolutely. I wrote down I think I even wrote it in a way that like was verbatim what you would say, but I just had the blanks to fill in. So I'd copy it off and then I'd fill in the blanks. And then Christian would know, hey, I need a time to talk. You're not in trouble. And he'd be like, let's talk right now. He never wants to wait. He's like, come on, bring it on, whatever it is. But if I would bring out that sheet of paper and he knew what it was.
What would he do?
I mean, we wouldn't even get to say, he'd be like, okay, what do you need? What do you need? Just tell me. Okay, yeah, you're appreciative. Okay, yeah. What do you need? Like you actually have figured out to state what you need. Oh, you just need flowers and a card? What kind of? And he'd be like, oh yeah, they'll be here in an hour.
That is adorable. I know.
Quick to jump to it.
And see what that did is it made her so vulnerable. Taking her notes out, I don't want to mess this up. I want to do it right. And he thought it was adorable. I heard another man say the same thing. It was like, she didn't even have to get through the list. Yeah. He just cracked up and went, really? You have notes? What is it you want? You got it. I just think that's great. But again, a lot of times women refuse to do this because they think that being vulnerable is weakness. It is not. Being vulnerable is irresistible. It is adorable. You want your man to find you irresistible? Do you want him to adore you? Then go ahead. Yeah. Make yourself vulnerable. It's scary. It is scary sometimes. You don't know what you're going to get, but I guarantee, I would like to say I guarantee, I can't guarantee that you're going to get what you need.
Yeah. And what you're talking about here, I mean, in teacher lingo, whenever we're having a parent-teacher conversation, this is sandwiching the conversation.
Yes.
So you're sandwiching it between the 2 pieces of bread, which is the gratitude. Yes. Starting off with gratitude and then showing appreciation.
Yes.
So having that conversation, being able to start that way. But yeah, I don't think I've ever busted out that 6 steps and not had it go somewhere. Or, I mean, there have been times where there's a need that's more on the want side, but it's a little bit, it's not just in our goals of what he's able to provide in that season. And it brings about great conversation.
Yes.
You and I have talked about that many times too on the podcast about being able to receive what he's able and willing to provide in that season. Like right now we are in a season where we are not spending extra money on X, Y, and Z. Yes. And so when that bubbles up in me, it just helps re-clarify. It helps, again, put us on the same playing field. We're on the same team.
Right.
But if I can express those needs, express those desires with a heart of gratitude, then it just makes conversation so much easier and respectful.
Yes. And that's a great point you brought up. And let me reiterate that. Don't ever, ever, ever ask a man to provide you something that he can't. He's unable. He doesn't have it. He can't. Or he's unwilling to provide that for a certain reason, which again can be a great conversation. But if you want something that he can't afford, he can't buy that for you. Yeah. Don't say I'm just hinting this is what I want eventually, because what it's going to do, it will have the reverse effect. It'll make him feel like he's failing you and that he's not enough for you. And he may just give up altogether. I'm never going to be able to provide that. I can't please her. I can't meet her expectation. I give up. And you don't want that. There's other ways of stating, like what you just said, what you need, but you just have to be sensitive to, again, the financial situation, how much money he makes. I said this the other day, if he's on a school teacher's salary, not that there's anything wrong with being on a school teacher salary, but he's probably never going to be able to afford
certain things,
super luxurious items. You know, I mean, he's got, unless he has a side business or something. And again, I'm not putting down school teachers at all, but you just have to know just
being realistic with what your budget goals are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can get that. But I think too, this helps women identify their need. And you've said, a need is definitely different than a want.
Yeah.
And sometimes having the conversation, it could be as simple as, for me, would I love X, Y, and Z for my birthday? Yes, of course, the luxurious items. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, like a handwritten card and flowers, and he'll ask me exactly what type of flowers I want, and he provides that. And then just the appreciation, the simple things, when we're able to appreciate the simple things, just helps these conversations continue forward in such a better way when you get a better momentum towards that.
And this all, again, just helps to bring the best out of him, and it brings the best out of you.
Yeah.
And that's
You're
what
setting
it's all
each other up for a win. If I win by getting my needs met and allowing you a win too, again, where it's for you to win, it doesn't mean I have to lose. And for me to win doesn't mean you have to lose. We can find a win-win in that.
That's right. That's good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, so I loved what we talked about today, and the best way to push your man away, but actually we talked about how to really come together in good conversation, how to approach them, how to have great conversation, and what words to use, what words not to use.
Right.
So hopefully these are tools that everybody can use.
And this brings an intimate connection. This is a intimate conversation, which leads to lots of other exciting things. So that's what it's all about, just being connected, knowing each other. Yeah.
Great. Good. More tools for the toolbox.
That's right.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with somebody, share it with your spouse. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when a new episode is coming your way. It helps us if you leave a comment or any questions you have down below. And make sure you follow Danielle on Instagram and Facebook.